Okie dokie, boys and girls. It is day 341 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only, and today we have another squatting day. Squatting on one leg, that is, and we're doing it with 48 kilos, which is a weight I haven't touched in, I think, like half a year, or like almost half a year, you know? The last time was definitely before my holiday to Japan, so that's like before the summer even. But yeah, it's gonna be some serious weight. I'm quite fucking nervous for this. And I feel like the reason I got to this point after the injury, right? Because you might not know, but I got back from Japan. I started squatting way too heavy, way too often, and then I got injured. But the reason I was able to get back on track and squat 48 kilos right now is I feel like actually by reducing the volume, because before I would just try to do as many sets as possible with the heavy weight, like kind of Olympic style, because you see these guys doing like 10 sets of 3 reps with some squatting weight, and that's something that I was mimicking myself, but something I neglected there. It's not a bad training method, like not at all, but I was doing it in a bad way because I was ignoring the form. So the reason I've been able to get back on track is actually because I've been paying attention to the form with a high frequency. You know, I've always, ever since the injury, I've focused on doing a slow negative and really focusing on the technique. And in between trainings, I've been doing grease the groove, which is basically a training method where you do a couple sets throughout the day, very light. So I was doing it with 24 kilos. That's half of the weight that I'm doing today. And basically you just do the movement that you want to learn very frequently so that your body can adapt to it quickly as well. And yeah, that's something like when you practice the piano, if you practice every day, you're gonna get better at the piano quickly. And the thought process behind greasing the groove is that, well, strength is a technique as well. You know, you can learn it, it's a skill. And so if you train it more often, you will get better more quickly. And so those two things, really focusing on the form and also on the frequency of trying to learn a movement, I think like they have propelled me back into shape, I'll say. I'm not like doing any crazy pistol squat workouts. In fact, I'm doing the bare minimum and doing the finisher sets, I guess, with other exercises. But, that has really helped me to get back into shape, to get my strength back and to do it safely. So yeah, let's get started with today's workout. First up, we have, well, as I mentioned, 48 kilo pistol squats. I'm gonna try and do 3 sets of 3 reps. We'll see how that goes. The warm-up set with 38 kilos felt great, so let's go! Alright, fucking hell. I think this might be a PR actually, even for 1 set. But nonetheless, 2 more sets left. Alright, so the form definitely broke down a little bit, but I'm happy with the fact that I didn't lose the control of the negative. So up until now, every time I would squat heavy, that's how I got injured as well, I would kind of ignore the negative, because as I went down into the negative, I would lose my power. And so in order to compensate for that, I would just drop into the squat and then bounce up again. But now I feel like I'm doing that way less, if not at all. And I'm doing it with 48 kilos. the last reps of this set, they felt fucking heavy. In fact, this entire last set felt fucking heavy. But what I remember the most is how light the first rep of the first set felt. Because I feel like that's the most important, you know. Because that's gonna be the rep I'm gonna do when I go for my 1 rep max, you know. I'm really hoping in a couple weeks to hit that big 60 kilo pistol squat PR. But yeah, that's something that's only gonna happen if I stay disciplined and stay true to the fucking training that I'm doing right now. But yeah, 3 sets done. This is a huge PR, you know, because previously my PR for 46 kilos was 2x2. But I guess, you know, my PR for 50 kilos was 2x2 as well. But anyway, 48 for 3x3, I think that's a big improvement. And if everything goes as planned, I'm doing the same for 52 kilos next time. But yeah, that's it for the pistol squats today. Now let's move on to something else. Okie dokie, so pistol squats are done. Now I'm moving on to Bulgarian squats. Now, something that you have to note for strength training, if you want to get strong at a particular movement, you have to do that movement. And the more you do it in your training, the better. Now, that's for planche, for example. If you train a planche, you're not going to get the planche by getting strong handstand push-ups. Yes, you build a bit of a base, but you're not going to unlock the actual movement. You're not going to get that much stronger at the actual movement. And the same is true for pistol squats. So for me, you know, if I want to get strong at the pistol squats, as strong as I possibly can, I have to do the pistol squats. And the more of a percentage of my training that can be the pistol squats, the better. So why the hell am I doing the Bulgarian squat right now? Why am I spending energy on this? Well, basically it's because for me, I'm coming back from an overuse injury, you know, and when I pistol squat, I still feel it a little bit, so I don't want to trigger it again. And so, you know, if I only do the pistol squat and then end the workout, well, I just did 3 sets of 3 fucking reps. That's not a lot, right? So I need some more. I want some more because I do my training, pistol squats, every 4 days. And if I end the training right now, I'm practically gonna be recovered in 2 days. So I want to stimulate my legs a little bit more so that they, you know, go stronger back again. And basically I'm gonna do that by the pistol squats because I don't want to do more pistol squats and trigger my injury again. And you know, is this ideal? No. Ideally, I would do more pistol squats, but you know, it's like I mentioned a couple of videos ago. Like, people focus too much on what they have to do rather than what they can do. That's not only like from a standpoint of, you know, you only need to do so much to progress. It's also from a standpoint of efficiency. You know, many people are like fixated on the most efficient way and the scientific ways to progress as fast as possible. And that's a good thing because you want to make your training efficient. But if you get hyper fixated on it, I feel like sometimes you can even like give up on yourself and not even get started in the first place. So in order to get strong, you have to do as much, or in the pistol squat, you have to do as much pistol squats as possible. You know, you have to be as specific as possible. But if I can't, you know, I don't have to do it. So I'm gonna focus on what I can do. And in my case, I want to avoid an overuse injury from pistol squats. So I'm gonna get that little bit of an extra stimulus, you know, for hypertrophy. I'm not gonna get it from my pistol squats, but rather from a different exercise. So, you know, focusing on what you can do instead of what you have to do, it can have different meanings, you know. Sometimes it just means train fucking harder because no one gives a fuck about 3 sets of 12 reps to the max. And sometimes it just means it's okay to do less, or it's okay to do something different that is not regarded as efficient. But anyway, let's get started. 5 sets. I'm gonna aim for 5 sets of 10 reps with a weight that is 2 kilos heavier than last time. So today I'm using 28 kilos. Alright, fucking hell. Don't get me wrong, these sets are hard, but if I don't do anything, you know, there won't be a single question on whether I get the remaining 2 sets. I was aiming for 5 sets of 10 with a heavier weight than last time, controlled, 3-second negative, but I feel like I have a little bit more in the tank, and that's normal, you know. With straight sets, it's difficult to gauge where your actual limit is. So what I'm gonna do is on these last 2 sets, I'm gonna go for my controlled reps, go to my max, and then do kind of a superset or a rest pause set, and finish off with some fast reps, you know, because by doing the slow and controlled negative, it's great, but you know, also it's very difficult. So at the end, when you're not able to push yourself up anymore, you actually have a bit more power left, only you're not able to use it because you're doing everything controlled. And so by doing your reps quickly, you have a bit more momentum, a bit more compensation, you can get a bit more out of your muscles, which is gonna get you good hypertrophy, well, muscle building results. So let's go for the remainder of the sets. Alright, so on that last set, I was unable to hit 10 controlled reps, but at least now we are sure that failure was achieved. Tom Platz would be proud, because not when it comes to strength necessarily, but when it comes to building muscle, hypertrophy, going to failure is important, you know. And whether you do it with, you know, short sets like of a couple reps, like 3 to 4 reps, or you do it with 8 to 12 reps like the bodybuilders, or you do it with with hundreds of reps, it doesn't matter. As long as you hit failure, we're gonna build some muscle, and that's what I did on the Bulgarian squats. Now, let's move on to the final finisher set. If you've been watching the leg days, well, first of all, you're a fucking legend. Who the hell watches a leg day? But second of all, you will know what's coming up already. It's the CC squat finisher set. So what I'm gonna do is basically CC squats. I'm gonna hold myself on this bar basically to help with the balance, and I'm gonna do CC squats. When I'm unable to do the CC squats, basically I'm gonna only do negatives and help myself up, not only by, you know, holding the bars to balance myself, but actually actively pulling up with my lats and my arms to basically concentrate on the negative movement. And then once the negative movement becomes impossible, that's when I move over to bunny squats, or you can call them toe squats. And basically this will put an insane burn on your quadriceps. So if you haven't tried this finisher, definitely give it a go. What I personally concentrate on during this set is to drive the bottom of my toes forward into the floor by extending my legs, you know. From this point of the knee, I just focus on moving the toes forward into the ground. And that's how I put an emphasis on the quadriceps. But let's go. Oh, fuck you. Alright, that's it. Holy shit, boys, is that a fucking Spiro? I fucking love these Windows backgrounds. Okie dokie, boys and girls, that's it for today's leg day, and boy, it was a good one, you know. Ever since that little wake-up call that I should be training harder, I've been doing so, and it's been satisfying. You know, oftentimes when we have these training periods that we're not training as hard as we should be, oftentimes in the moment you don't know about it, right? You find out and then we go through the 5 stages of grief, I guess. First it's like, oh fuck, what have I been doing? But it gradually turns into, well, acceptance. I don't know all of the stages, but then, you know, into fucking moving forward and bettering yourself and bettering your training sessions, which is certainly what I've been able to do over the past couple sessions. But yeah, my legs are bloated as hell. You know, that's some good quality meat on the legs there. Very satisfied with how tired these legs feel at the moment. But yeah, that's it for today's training. And well, for the leg sessions, the squatting sessions basically, I've been making it a point to not squat heavy anymore every session. So next one will be lighter, but a bit more volume. And I feel like this approach, yes, it does take me longer to move forward in weight, but at the same time, it allows me to continue forward longer. It's a bit of the same story that I had with the Nordic rolls, where, you know, in the Nordic roll, I tried to move forward too quickly and then I injured myself. But during the injury, I was basically, you know, trying to patch things up, trying to come back very patiently, and by doing so, I actually got stronger during my rehab phase. So that's what I'm kind of trying to apply here on the pistol squats as well. I'm becoming a bit of a science-based lifter, I guess, you know, all of these slow negatives, but as long as it's working to make me stronger, I'm fucking happy with it. So yeah, that's it for today's leg day session. This is kind of the approach that I've been taking to get stronger. Don't overdo it on the pistol squats, but rather, you know, take it in a safe way, or do your training in a safe way. You know, basically do the necessary volume, right? And then with the remainder energy you have, do some hypertrophy stuff. You know, try to up your frequency, perhaps. Even if you only train like legs, for example, or you do a workout once a week, in between you can do the movement like every now and then throughout the day in a light fashion. You know, so for example, for me, I'll be doing light pistol squats tomorrow morning and evening. But yeah, high frequency, but also controlled technique will make you stronger, I guess. Hopefully it will lead to a new and final 1 rep max PR. But that's it for today's training. Very happy with how it went. I think I already mentioned that. But I'll see you tomorrow for an early hamstring day. I think I have to get up at like 4 AM or something. But yeah, you'll see that tomorrow.